What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. With the 2.2 update release, we're going to be getting an upgrade to our Trailblazer. First we had the Destruction Trailblazer, then we have Preservation Trailblazer, and now we're going to get a Harmony Trailblazer. And it's, let me tell you guys, this Harmony Trailblazer is actually pretty good, and it's going to get even better with the release of other characters that focus on break effect. So without further ado, let's get right into the calculations. As always, I'm going to break down their kit, and remember guys that this is a free-to-play unit. We're going to be getting E6 of Harmony Trailblazer eventually in the story mode, so make sure you hop on that. I may release a video explaining exactly how to get the E6, all the Eidolons and everything like that, so stay tuned for that. Starting out with the basic, 100% imaginary damage, 20% energy recharge, and 30 break, nothing crazy. The skills where things start getting a little spicy. Deals imaginary damage equal to 50% of its attack to one target, and additionally deals damage 4 times to random targets, essentially what that means. Each hit dealing 50% of Trailblazer's attack. So in total, before E6, the total is 5 hits, but at E6, you get access to 2 extra hits, so a total of 7 hits. If you take a look at the note to the right, at E1, when using a skill for the first time, we recover 1 skill point, which is really good. And then at E6, we trigger the damage application 2 extra times, making this a total of 7 damage applications, 1 with the initial one, 4 for the regular one, and then the 2 extra ones for the E6. All right, the energy is 6, but if you take a look at the note, this amount is per hit. At E2, Harmony Trailblazer also gives itself 25% energy recharge rate for the first 3 turns. So this 6 energy turns up to 7.5 energy per hit, which at E6 is 45%, 45 energy in total per skill. So actually a lot of energy recovery in her skill. You're gonna see whenever you actually start playing with her that or him or her or whatever, that you're going to be getting her ultimate or its ultimate very consistently. I keep referring to her because mine is a female. But all right, moving on. Her ultimate grants allies backup dancer effect for 3 turns. This duration is reduced by 1 at the start of Trailblazer's turn, which means that you can run her slow so the backup dancer lasts longer. Allies that have a backup dancer effect have the break effect increased by 30%, and when they attack an enemy that is weakness broken, the toughness reduction of this attack will be converted into 1 instance of Super Break. Super Break is a new mechanic that we haven't seen before, and it is only exclusive to Harmony Trailblazer as of this moment. It has its own separate formula, but essentially it's a break that happens. It's break damage that applies at every hit after the enemy is already broken. So you know, whenever you break the enemy, you have the initial break damage that occurs. Well, after the enemy is already broken, whenever they get hit, they will take an instance of break damage that has its own separate formula and calculation to go with it. So just think about Super Break as a break after the break. An insanely strong mechanic that you're going to see in the coming patches and the coming characters that is going to play a massive role when it comes to overall damage. So per enemy broken, she's going to recover 10 energy. It's pretty good. You're going to see whenever you actually test her out or test your your Harmony MC out, that you're going to be getting the ultimate pretty consistently if you have it with the energy recharge rope and with the extra energy that it gives itself. It's a lot of energy. Technique: after technique is used, the next battle, all allies break effect increased by 30% for 2 turns. So off the bat, she's giving you 60% break effect if you start with your tech for the first 2 turns. So that's pretty good considering if, a lot of characters, like for instance Sui, for example, break effect is really translates a lot into damage. So just by having Harmony Trailblazer on the team, Sueyo is already getting a 60% damage bonus, so that's pretty good. Moving on to the traces, this trace right here is the one that's going to skyrocket your break effect or super break effect damage. And pretty much what it does is, depending on how many enemies are on the field, you are going to get a boost in your super break damage. So if you have 5 enemies, so the more enemies there are on the field, the less the damage bonus. So it goes from a 20% damage bonus all the way to a 60% damage bonus, doing the most damage and the most impact to when there's only a single enemy on the field. So this is a really big damage increase when it comes to super break damage. And this is where Harmony Trailblazer actually pops off when it comes to damage. Second trace additionally delays enemy target's action by 30% when allies are weakness broken. So essentially, Imaginary has an extra delay whenever they break the enemy. This pretty much makes it to where that extra delay applies to all breaks. So it doesn't matter how you break the enemy, they're gonna get delayed 25% and then an extra 30% on top, which is the total of 55% action delay on break, which is pretty nice. If you play your team correctly, delaying the enemy so much can actually help you clear a clear stage without having a sustain in the team. And I think we've already talked about that when it comes to Welt and Ruanmei. Next choice when using a skill additionally increases the toughness reduction for the first instance of damage by 100%. This is going to have to take a little bit more testing when I have my own, but since the skill deals different instances of damage, each instance of damage deals 30 break. So this is going to pretty much double, in my theory, is going to double the first instance. So the first instance is going to do 60 break, then the subsequent ones are going to do 30 break. That's my theory. I'm going to have to test it out more when I actually get my hands on it, but that's my theory right there. Stat traces have 37% break effect, 14% imaginary damage, and 10% effect resistance. This kit is very, very strong. It may not seem as strong because it talks about break and super break and all that stuff. But once we get into calculations, you're going to see how crazy this can get, okay? All right, this being a break character, we don't really care too much about attack. Like, we can actually leave this blank because this literally serves no purpose on break characters. And we instead are going to start focusing on break effect sources, okay? So for this build, we're going to run the Watchmaker set with the Tally of Banditry, and also with the Memories of the Past. So all of these things are going to include or add break effect onto you. Yeah, we're only going to focus on break effect. So for this, we're going to be running the Watchmaker set with the Tala Kingdom of Banditry with Memories of the Past. So let's go ahead and add all these things in there. So you can go ahead and add 46% break effect here when you use your ultimate. Tala Kingdom of Banditry gives you an extra 36% break effect. So that's going to be 82% break effect already when you have 145 speed or more. Harmony Trailblazer has 105 base speed. So with speed boots, you're already at 130. So you only need about 15 more speed, which you can get from various sources. So to get it to 145 speed shouldn't be too difficult. But you do need the 145 speed to get the extra 16% or 20% break effect with Tala Kingdom of Banditry. All right, now the light cone is Memories of the Past. At S5, you can get 56% break effect. So we got to add that in there too. Already we have 138% break effect. So as far as a rope, you could actually go with a break effect rope if you're having issues getting your break effect high enough, but it's not necessary. You could do it, but it's really not that necessary. So let's say for subs, it's really easy to get break effect subs. I'm pretty sure you have a lot of those relics laying around. So let's say we get 20% break effect here. I'm going to keep it at a moderate 150, and then we have the 37.3% break effect that we get from the trace. Already at 195 just with this setup right here. Actually, the Memories of the Past can go up like down to, let me see, 28. So let's actually put this at S1. Let's have this, right? So let's say your Memories of the Past is S1. You're gonna have 28% break effect here, 20% from subs, 37.3 from her own stats, and then 82% from relics. Remember, when she gives backup dancer, she gives backup dancer to herself as well. So she's going to buff herself for 30% break effect. If you started with your tech, you're also going to have an extra 30% break effect. So just like that, we have 227.3% break effect with an S1 light cone. So that's pretty good. 20% in subs, pretty attainable. You can get this literally in one relic. You can get this up to 60-70% break effect just in subs, but I'm going to play conservative and do 20% here. So a 227% break effect is actually pretty nice. And this is what her break damage is going to be looking like. Okay, so here's where I have to explain a little bit of what break is. And I am going to be releasing a new break effect guide because super break came out and I have to put those two things together. I already have a break effect guide in my channel, but I'm going to be doing a new one. So all right, I'm going to briefly go over what break effect is for a little bit. So break effect, you have to take into consideration your character's level, which has a level multiplier, which is incorporated right here. This number over here is going to be the level 80 level multiplier. The next instance of damage is going to be this part over here, which is the type of the character that is doing the break. So for instance, Imaginary has a multiplier of half of 0.5. So that's going to be the type multiplier. And then this thing in the parentheses over here is going to be the enemy's max toughness multiplier. So this is going to be whatever the enemy is. So it changes varying the enemy. Depending on what their toughness multiplier is going to go through this formula and is going to spit out a multiplier, and that's going to be added into the base break. Okay, so for this enemy in particular, we're taking a look at the blue beetle from Echo of War, because that's the one that I was using for testing, and it has 540 toughness, and that goes in there. We don't have to see the number actually, but it goes in there. Okay, and that's how we get this base break damage. This is the break effect multiplier, so this is 1 plus your break effect. If you can see, it's 227.3 and this is 327, so it's 1 plus the break effect. And then also it goes through the entirety of the defense, vulnerability, resistance, and broken multiplier. So on break, with 227% break effect, you're going to have 13,000 on damage, okay? Which isn't bad, but for a Harmony character, this is actually not terrible. And then her skill is going to be doing a lot of breaking because it actually increases its own break efficiency, and also it does a lot of hits. So if it's a single target enemy, you're going to be breaking the enemy a lot with this skill. So for the super break formula, it's pretty much the same thing, except now we add a toughness reduction multiplier and then a super break damage bonus, which as of right now, it's only exclusive to Harmony Trailblazer's trace that we discussed over here, this trace right here. Toughness reduction. This was the part that I wasn't too sure of, but shout out to the people that helped me out. They know who they are. Help me figure this out. And essentially, the toughness damage of the attack move that you use to hit the enemy when they're broken is going to factor into a formula, which I put over here. These should be multiplied by 3. I only did it like this because it's going to make more sense to me to do it this way. But if you multiply this by 3, you're going to get this number right here, which is the actual break for the move. So all the numbers that I have put in here are, you have to just multiply them by 3, and then that's how you know exactly how much break damage is going to be doing. Okay, so for instance, 30 break damage, which is the basic, is going to deal 10 toughness damage, and then that 10 toughness damage is the one that's going to be used to get to this formula right here. Okay, let's ramp this up. For example, let's say you're running a break team, and obviously you're going to be running Ruan-Mei, right? Ruan-Mei is going to give 50% break efficiency to everything. So off the bat, everything has 50% break efficiency, and you already saw just by adding 50% break efficiency, this damage, it used to be 9,700, and now with 50% break efficiency, it already jumped up to 14, being more than regular break formula. Ruan-Mei also gives you 20% more break effect, so let's add that in there. Also buffing off bar damage. He's also going to give you 25% rest pen over here, and then the damage bonus really doesn't matter for break. So this is all we need right now. Let's say also that you are triggering, you use your skill, right? So for the skill, the first instance of damage that hits the enemy is going to have its toughness damage bonus pretty much doubled, which is 100% of it. So it's going to go up by 100%. If your enemy is already toughness broken, right, and you hit the enemy with the skill, the first damage of the skill, like the first damage instance of the skill, is going to have this buff. So it's going to take that 10 and turn it into a 30. And that's going to skyrocket your super break damage to about 40,000. And remember, guys, this is every time you use the skill when an enemy is broken, this is the amount of damage it's going to be doing to this enemy right here. Remember that it varies with enemies. So if the enemies have lower toughness damage or lower toughness bar, then it's going to be, the damage is going to be a little lower. And also if there's more enemies on the field, since it affects everybody, like it's an AoE hit, it's going to also vary. So yeah, this would be 120% instead of 160%, but it will apply to everybody on the field. So it'll actually be a 100% increase instead of a 60% increase. So, but Super Break is going to apply to a lot of enemies with Harmony Trailblazer, and I think it's going to be a really good mechanic for characters like Boothill and probably Sam as well, because Sam is looking to be like a break character as well. So Super Break is going to be very relevant in the coming patches. So I think it's in everybody's best interest, if you're going to play that break team or break meta that's going to come, to pretty much build up and invest heavily into Harmony Trailblazer, because Harmony Trailblazer is going to be one of the best enablers, or the only enabler, not the best, the only enabler for Super Break damage. And that's going to be the main source of a lot of people's damage. So I'm just going to throw in an example. We're going to get away from Harmony Trailblazer, right? And let's say, for instance, for just for the sake of testing, that you're doing this super break damage with the exact same break effect with a physical character. Instead of a 0.5 multiplier, we have a 2 multiplier. The super break damage goes up to 155,000 just by changing the type. This is insanity, okay? And then let's also say, let's bring this back down, and let's say we still have Ruan-Mei. Let's say we have an enemy, let's say we have a character that has 60 toughness damage, which would be 20, right? That's 20 toughness damage, but then he gives himself a buff of, let's say 100% here. Maybe there's a character that's physical that's going to do that, right? It's already 60 toughness damage, and look at the super break. Super break is hitting for 310,000 single target. If it's not single target, it's going to be hitting for 233,000. This is only with Ruan-Mei and Harmony Trailblazer. And this number is actually not accurate, because Harmony Trailblazer actually gives allies more break effect. So it'd actually be like 110 here. Just so you guys get a little glimpse of what Super Break is actually going to be. It's going to be a massive increase in damage in break-oriented characters. Play through your 2.2 story quest, get your Harmony Trailblazer. It's going to be an insane character in that niche team, in that meta. If you haven't built your Trailblazer up, take this video as a reason to why you're going to want to build the Trailblazer up. So yeah, just so you guys get a glimpse, this is what Super Break is capable of. Let me know what you guys think of this video. Let me know what you guys think about Harmony Trailblazer. And until next time, guys, see ya.